Hello everyone, this is Prashant again. First of all, apologies for not being able to upload a video as I was very busy with the work related engagement. But today, in continuation of where we have left, we are proceeding further with learning Maximo Integration Framework. So, today we are going to talk about queues. So, queue is one of the very important component when we are talking about Maximo Integration Framework, and it is used for asynchronous data processing, whether it is inbound to Maximo or whether it is outbound from Maximo. So, if you see in Maximo, there are three different kind of queues which are possible. So, first of all, the first queue is synchronous queue, the second is continuous queue, and the third one is error queue. So by default, when we install Maximo, uh, and if we are not doing a network deployment, you will be able to see that Maximo creates some of the queue by its own. But if you are doing a network deployment, then you might be having a separate MIF cluster, and then you might be having a UI cluster. So obviously you have to create queues separately, and then you have to do the other related configuration. But coming back to the topic about queues, there are three kind of queues as I have said. The first one is sequential queue, the second one is continuous queue, and the third one is error queue. And we need to see when we are going to use which queue. So where do you will see queues in the Maximo? You have to come to external system, and if you come to external system, you will be able to see that on the external system, if you take any external system, you have queues associated to that. So this is one of the demo external system, and you can see that here I have option to associate multiple different kind of queues. So I can associate outbound sequential queue, I can associate inbound sequential queue, and I can associate inbound continuous queue. So what is the difference between them? So first thing is that continuous queue is when you are going to do data in parallel, and you do not need any particular order of data to be processed, then you can use continuous queue. If you are using continuous queue, then there is another kind of queue which is error queue that will be associated with continuous queue. So what happens is if that there is an error, in that particular case, the data will be transferred from continuous queue. The error data will be transferred from continuous queue to error queue so that it does not stop the processing. So the advantage of continuous queue is that you can continuously process the data, and that particular data, there is no stoppage if there is an error. So you can go to message reprocessing, and then you can process the data. But the disadvantage is that you cannot make sure the ordering in which you have to process, because all the data transactions are going to happen in continuous manner, in parallel manner. The other kind of queue that we have is sequential queue. Sequential queue do not have any error queue associated, and as the name suggests that when the data processing is going to happen, data will always be processed in a sequential manner. So if you want a data processing to be happening, first a certain transaction should happen, and after that only the second transaction should get processed, and the order should be maintained, then you have to go for sequential queue. So the example can be that I am trying to process PO data. I have an external system, say SAP, and then SAP is trying to send me data, and they are trying to send me the PO data. So they are sending me PO, and then they are sending me PO line. So if I am going to use sequential queue, in that case, I need to first process the PO, and then only I have to process the PO line. Because if I am going to process PO line first, in that case, I may be running into error saying that this PO does not exist, right? So when we have this kind of scenario where first a parent has to be processed and then child has to be processed, in that particular case, we use sequential queue. And if you have any parallel processing requirement where order does not matter, for example, someone is creating item, and they are just creating item in, say, in SAP, and item data has to come to Maximo, and it's only the item data. They are just sending item number, description, maybe the UAM, order unit, issue unit, and things like that, and there is no other data which they are sending. So in that case, they can very well use continuous queue. So if you see here, you have a particular select action, add modify queue, and if I click on it, you will be able to see that it shows me the different queues which are available. So as I said, you can see that whether a queue is sequential, if the checkbox is checked, which means that this queue is sequential, otherwise the queue is continuous. And you can see that you will be also having option to user define, create a queue which is user defined. So here if you notice that there is a queue which is there's a queue which is weather, and it is user defined. It is something which a user has created. And where are you going to do that? A queue gets created from the on the application server. So it can be the WebSphere application server, or it can be WebLogic application server. It has to be there. If you want to see data in any of the queue, then you can do here from this dialog box itself. If you select a queue, and then if you will say view queue data, it will basically show you if there is any particular message it is available. So if you want to only check the count, you can check the count. So for example, I will just see if there is any data in that. I will do it, and it says it has 0 message. If there are some messages which are available, then it will show me the count. If I don't select this checkbox, in that particular case, it will basically show me the XMLs which are available. You can also delete the data. In earlier version of Maximo, this option was available. So in that particular case, we had to go to WebSphere application server or WebLogic application server, and from where we have to view the queue data, or we have to basically delete the queue data. But now from I believe 7.6 onward, we have this particular option readily available here. So this is the queue, and we have seen that what are the different kind of queues which are available. Now, if you go for Maximo application suite, the concept of queue is changing. So in the Maximo application suite, you can use queues, but in that case, you might be using something known as JMS MQ, or you might be using Apache Kafka. When we are talking about queues, the basic difference is that it supports two kind of communication mode. First is point to point, and the second one is publisher to subscriber. So generally in Maximo queues, you will see that we follow point to point, where a particular message will be kept into the queue, and that particular message will be sent to another point, and it will be either external system, or it will be, for inbound, it will be from external system to Maximo. In the case of Kafka, it is primarily work on publisher subscriber method. So we will see that particular detail in in coming videos, that what is Kafka and how it can be configured and what are the associated functionality. But then the main point to understand is that in Maximo application suite, you can use either of it, but the subscription of it has to be separate, and they are not going to be installed when you are actually going to install Maximo application suite. Okay, so this is related with the primarily difference. Now what we need to see is that how this particular queue basically works. So if you go to cron task, how the processing happens. So for the sequential queue, there is a cron task given, which is JMS queue sequential consumer. If you come here, you will be able to see that by default it has two sequences. First is instances. First is SEQ in, and then other is SEQ out. And basically this instance is processing data from this particular queue. And if you want to see in WebSphere, if I take you to WebSphere console, you can see that I have queues, and then these are the same queues which are actually available. So these are the different queues, and this is the name. JNDI name is important. This is the JNDI name by which Maximo will identify that when it is processing the data, which data it has to be, which particular queue it has to process, right? When we talk about processing, as I said that for JMS consumer, you have sequential in and sequential out. But for MDB, but for continuous queue, there is something else is available, which is known as message driven beams. And how you set up message driven beams? So if you go in your Maximo and you go to application, you come to MBO EJB, there is a folder, and you come to EJB module, and inside meta.inf, you have two files. So first file is ejb-jar.xml, and the second file is IBM EJB jar bnd.xmi. If you open these two files, you will be able to see that in the ejb-jar.xml, you have the code for we have the syntax and the code given for MIA MDB. So you can basically uncomment this, and then the related component has to be uncommented from this IBM EJB jar bnd.xmi. So if you are using continuous queue, and then if you see that continuous queue is not processing the data, so in that particular case, you can come to these two files and just make sure that these sections are uncommented. If it is not, then you have to uncomment it, and then you have to do the deployment, right? So this is how the processing happens. Basically, the cron task or the EJBs will take the data from the queue and they process the data from something known as data store. So now what is data store? There are two different kind of data store that Maximo support. The first one is file store and the second one is database store. In the case of file store, as we said, all the metadata that particular queue is required to process the data will be stored in either of this type of data store. So if you have file store, in that particular case, in the server, there will be a physical file in which all the data will be kept. All the metadata for queues processing will be kept. And if you are having data store, then in your database schema, there are certain tables which will be available and we say them SIB tables. So if you go and check in your Maximo schema, if you are having database store, you will be able to see something known as SIB tables, which are like SIB 000, SIB 001, and then similarly there are around 6 to 7 tables which are available. So these are the data store table which is used, which and help queues to process the data from source to destination, right? So these are the things which are internally used by queues. And there are two particular applications which are directly associated with these queues. As I said that this is asynchronous transaction. Asynchronous means that data will not be processed in real time. So in that particular case, if you come to integration, you will be able to see that you have something known as message tracking. So this particular application, whenever you are processing data from public channel or from enterprise service, you can enable message tracking and message reprocessing, and you will be able to see that all the transactions which has processed, right? You will be able to see that all the particular transactions are there, and then which queue has processed it, what is the status, all the detail will be actually available. If you are using enterprise services, when the data is coming from external system to Maximo, in that particular case, you can use message reprocessing. So this message reprocessing is an application which actually stores all the error that you are going to get when you have processed the data because of some kind of business validation has failed. For example, you are trying to create an asset record, and in that particular asset record, say you are putting a vendor or manufacturer which does not exist in Maximo. So in that particular case, what happens is that particular data will get stuck, and then you can basically look that error and then you can fix it and reprocess. So message reprocessing actually helps you to, as the name suggests, is to reprocess the messages, right? And then it saves you from losing the data. And so for example, you will see if this particular case, you will be able to see that what are the different errors which are actually available. So if you open any of the message, you will be able to see that it shows you the error data, and then obviously you can process it after changing the value. And then once you are going to process it, again it is going to hit the MBO layer, validation will happen, and if it succeeds, validation succeeds, then the data will directly be saved into database.